All right, so as you all know, HSC results came out on Thursday, right? We had 4 students, and 2 of them got 99.95. One of them got selected to Columbia University, the prestigious Columbia University, and the other one is currently in the interview process for Cambridge. Okay, and I kind of just want to show you some marks. Okay, so this is what your HSC looks like, and the kind of the sweat about this is you get this at like, I don't know, like some like 6 in the morning or something. Yeah. But you don't get your ATAR until 9 a.m. or something. Okay. But actually, if you look at this, so when I saw this, I knew that this ATAR was 99.95 without needing to look at the ATAR. Yeah. This is actually a very crazy score. So, all right. So I'll let you ask me what these means, but hopefully you understand what band 6 means, right? So if you get all band 6s, you get what's called the Premier's Award, or that used to be the case. It's called the Distinguished Achievers thing. And E4 just means band 6 in extension courses language. Yeah. So they only have 4 bands instead of 6. So it's essentially just band 6 in everything. Yeah. Okay. So this student was particularly crazy. So this is actually, I don't know how to explain it, but this is actually overkill for 99.95. This is probably the highest 99.95. Okay. Because there's obviously, there's 50 students worth of variation. But in the old days, this could be like the 100. All right, so do you get how this works? There's examination mark and there's an assessment mark. Okay, and then there's a HSC mark. Yeah. Do you know how these numbers work?
Average.
It's literally it's literally take the average, but we don't do decimals. Yeah. So obviously 96 and 96 average to 96.
How about 98 and 90?
98 and 99 averages to 98.5, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets rounded up to 99. But um but the 99 is not the same as the other 99s, if that makes sense. Because there's also decimal points here as well. Yeah. Okay, so that's how you do state rankings. Because if it was 99, then they'd both be equal fifth. But one of them was fifth, the other one was sixth. That makes sense? Okay. But these ones are pretty straightforward. Okay, so here's the crazy thing, right? So look at your averages. So if you if you get 96 here and you get 94 here and you get 95, yeah? So what does exam mark mean? Do you know?
The mark you're going to pick.
Yeah, it's literally your exam mark, yeah? So everyone in the state takes an exam, and it's worth half your mark no matter what, yeah? So that's probably the most fair thing about the HSC. I think it would be even fairer if they just made that your entire 100%, yeah? Of course, the problem with that is there's a lot more variance in your score, yeah? How does your school mark work, do you know?
It's just like, how would you school?
So basically, so basically, how school mark works is like you have all your school exams, right? And how you do in those relative to the other people is what priority you get in picking the marks. So basically, what that means is like, for example, if the most obvious case is if you're just first in every like first, and you're an outlier, so you're first by a lot, right? So essentially, what happens then is after everyone does the exam, right? The very highest score in the whole out of your school, that just goes towards your school assessment. Does that make sense? And usually it's just your own score anyway, because you should have done the best, right? So in that case, so that's basically the case with me when I was in school. You get your own, you basically your exam worth 100%. Yeah, that makes sense. But then you get these really annoying situations. So what happened for me was in extension one, for example, like um so our school sent so I don't think I lost any marks in extension one in school, yeah. But I feel like my school took a mark off me anyway by essentially giving my score the same as someone else who lost a mark, yeah. And it was only like we would have all rounded up to like 100 anyway, yeah. So it would have been equal first, yeah. So that means we have equal priority when it comes to picking scores. Does that make sense? So in the final exam, I scored basically 100, yeah. They scored basically like let's say let's say 96 for even number, okay. So what that means is I get 100 for my exam mark, they get 96 for their exam, right? But because we both had the equal bidding for this school assessment, we both got 98 for the school assessment. Does that make sense? Yeah. So 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 basically I lost 2 marks that I wouldn't have lost if I'd gone to another school because we got the same school mark. So we'll have to say we'll have the same school mark no matter what. Does that make sense?
Is the school not the
No, okay, you're not really listening to what I'm saying. The school mark, the marks come from the HSC exam marks, but who gets what is determined by how well you did in school. Yeah. So in the other example, if you get first, then you get the first HSC exam mark, even if it wasn't your mark. Yeah.
really?
Yeah. But the point is the total of everyone's school marks has to also equal the total of everyone's HSC marks. Does that make sense? Because the school marks don't have any meaning without the HSC marks. So the HSC marks is what compares to the whole state,
So
right?
who is
Everyone does that test. The school mark could just be your own personal stupid questions.
so
You know what I
for
mean?
like English, he took someone else's English mark.
Yeah, so actually if you look at this, okay, so it looks like so we don't know what the decimal places are, but it looks like in Latin extension, he got first in his school, right? And he actually got his own mark in the HSC for both his school mark and his HSC. Yeah. And in fact, I think he basically topped the state for Latin extension. Okay. It was either first or second. Okay. Um, but here, which is actually very strange, it seemed like he didn't do as well as someone else from his school in Math Extension 2, which is really strange because, um, yeah, I don't know how that works. Maybe it's just a decimal thing as well. It could have been rounded differently for school, but um, so it could be that the second placed person got 99, right? And so the second place person took the second mark of 99 and he took the first mark of 99 for the school mark. Does that make sense? Yeah. So essentially if you're first and second and your order reverses in the actual exam, then you both get the same mark with your marks swapped, right? So if you're first, you get the first HSC mark, which is what the other guy what the other guy scored, right? And you get your own HSC exam mark, which is what you scored, right? Yeah. Yeah, so it's weird because it looks like here he didn't come first in physics or something. Yeah. But somehow it's very strange. He didn't come first in physics in school, but he got first in the actual exam for physics. And it seems like he came first in chemistry at his school, and then he got his own mark for both. Yeah? Does that make sense? Like the school marks don't really mean anything on their own, but the HSC exam mark means something on its own.
When do you start grinding the
Grinding the rankings.
like when start like getting your test pass?
Oh, your school ranking. Oh, it doesn't count until year 12. But there are some caveats because there's some schools where like if your ranking sucks, they don't let you do extension 2. Or like they don't let you take certain classes. Like even in like NSB, I think there's only 3 extension 2 classes. I don't know if that's the same for JR. No, they wouldn't let certain people do certain subjects. Yeah, so yeah, see English advanced. So he didn't he I think he came first in his school, but his exam mark was a little bit off. And the reason why this is exceptionally high was usually the people you don't need this high of an English mark to get a max ATAR, you know? So I think it can be done. I've seen it done with a 92, okay? I think I did it with either a 93 or a 94, you know? Um, but he did it with a 96 with overkill, right? Another crazy thing about this, like 98 is much higher than you need to get chemistry max ATAR. So I think I only got like 95 or something, and I actually did bad in the exam. But um, I think, and the crazy thing is he got like 98 and 95, and like I don't think they even counted towards his ATAR. Like, so what contributes to his ATAR? Okay, so he got 96 from this, yeah, and then he got 3 units of Latin, which was 5 units, yeah, and then 2 units from this, which is 7 units, okay, and he actually had a Maths Extension 1. He did accelerated. Um, yeah, so that's 9 units, right? 9 units. And so chemistry and physics, only 1 unit had to be used. So a mark of 95 in physics, even though like when I got 97 and that was a state rank in physics. And he got 95 and it didn't even count to his ATAR. That's pretty crazy. Like if he counted, he still would have got 99.95. But he didn't even need to count it and it still got 99. Then he counted 1 unit from chemistry. Yeah.
Wait, why doesn't it show his maths extension?
I think it's because it's like the previous year. Um, but yeah, I think um yeah, the previous year might not show here, but it counts to the ATAR if it was high enough. But yeah, so that's pretty crazy. So Latin was kind of OP, yeah. But the crazy thing is without the Latin, he would still get 99.95. That's how crazy it is. Like some of these 99.95 subjects weren't even counted. Yeah, so this is overkill for um for school, yeah. Yeah. Are you guys have any questions?
Just move on, just ask one.
Oh, what do you say? Is Latin best for HSC scaling? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, like the way the scaling works is like, I mean, scaling is, it's like people have it like the wrong way around. Like it's cause and effect, but they have like effect and cause, mixed up. Like why is math scaled highly and like physics is not scaled as highly? You know what I mean? That makes sense. It's like if someone scores 50% on the maths test, yeah, they could score like 100% on the English test. Yeah. Whereas someone who scores like 100% on the physics test only scores like 50% on the English test. Yeah. And the English test is what sort of these two people have in common that they can compare on, right? And so you would think, oh, well, therefore maths should be harder than the physics, right? And then you can actually directly compare the people as well because they might have both done physics and maths, right? And the person who scores 50 on the maths, um, or like actually also scores 100 on the physics. You know what I mean? And so if a subject has consistently high scores for students who are scoring low in other subjects, right? Then it's going to have a bad scaling, obviously, right? Because it's saying this subject is easy, right? You can get good in this subject without being good, right? So there's some subjects that are actually capped. You can't have a max ATAR contribution from them even if you get 100%. Okay. And that kind of makes sense, right? I mean, it's not fair in some sense because if you're like actually the best and you'll also get 100% in that subject, it's just no one will know, right? But then if you're actually the best, why are you doing standard maths when you could be doing extended 2 maths, right? Um, you guys, do you want any more questions about scaling? Does that make sense? How scaling works? It's actually pretty straightforward. But the problem with people is that they're picking subjects based on the scaling, which is kind of pointless. You just need the subject to be hard enough such that people who are not getting 99.95 ATAR are not getting 100% of the subject. You know what I mean? So it's crazy Latin scales high, but it's probably just because all the people, like, the people who do Latin tend to be also the people who are trying to do well in the HSC.
Because they seem to let it as high skill. It's like a
Yeah, or like it's not even something that's easy to know about, right? Yeah. But but they're not all getting 100% in Latin, that's the thing, right? Nathan got 9% in Latin. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so this student state ranked in Latin and Maths Extension 2. Oh yeah, the thing I was gonna say about state rankings, okay? Like you gotta take them with a grain of salt because like the test isn't accurate enough to actually rank the people that accurately. Does that make sense? Because out of the I don't know 3,000 people or something, or actually maybe more like 1,000, 2,000 people that do extension 2, right? There's not many people that do extension 2. The test isn't good enough to rank them. Does that make sense? Yeah. And also like it's not based on just the test, which probably had the best chance of ranking them because the test was harder than all the other tests, right? The last question is harder in the HSC than it is in the trials in the schools. It doesn't actually matter what school you get. Okay, but um okay. The JR one was some weird Olympiad inequalities question. Okay. But um yeah, like it's not necessarily meaningful to say like this person came fifth and this person came sixth, so they did better in the subject. That makes sense? Because like they could have also done better in the exam, but they got pulled down by their school assessment mark, like I did. You remember? So um, like in my case, right? In my case, who even did better than me in Extension One maths? You know what I mean? But I didn't get ranking. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it doesn't always make sense. But like obviously, but if someone does get a state ranking, they're obviously like no joke in the subject. You know what I mean? But it's just what I'm saying is they're not accurate enough to get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you still with me? All right. Any questions? We'll leave it there. Yeah.
I don't do
He still does not understand. That's all. He's a very one-track mind. This kid. What if you don't? You don't have to do Latin. I didn't do Latin. Yeah. I did physics. I did physics, chemistry, maths extension 2, maths extension 1, and English.
Is that all?
That's all I did.
Are you allowed to do?
10 units. You have to do English. So the main thing is English, right?
How do we have to do 5 units or Q9?
Oh, well, not in year 12. Oh, yeah, 5 units in year 12. That's funny.
That's
Yeah,
why,
back then it used to be called the
maybe
Asian combo.
maybe that's why he did Latin.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can actually take. Oh, something that's funny. You can actually take English, ESL English. I think that's also got pretty good scaling, and that can count to your English. But like the point is not to game the system. The point is to learn something. You know what I'm saying? You can't just get obsessed with getting ATAR all costs. If you want to get ATAR all costs, you can literally repeat year 12. You could just repeat.
You can.
Yeah, and your subject count for 5 years after you do them. So that's why if you accelerate something in year eight, it can still count to your HSC. But obviously you do bad. Yeah, don't be doing this. This guy immediately thinks about the most short-term solution to all his problems. Yeah, I remember people like doing software IPT. These subjects are not. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So he definitely beat me for English and chemistry. That's all I can tell you. And even though he didn't beat me directly for Latin, his Latin probably beat all my other subjects because Latin's cracked. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that he beat me in a subject that counted for me and he didn't even count for him. Um, yeah, and obviously you can't really compare across like 20 years or whatever. All right, anything else? Excellent.